how do you think I handled this Rooga situation?
Yeah, Mark.
It's pronounced Mork.
What do anybody out there, has anyone been like, oh, this is a skit, this is fake?
I've seen that a little bit, but it seemed like people kind of were with it enough to know it wasn't fake.
I think so. So for the people that don't know, like, what's the context? Because you knew he was going to be there, but it wasn't supposed to be. He wasn't originally supposed to be on.
Yeah,
the
so
interview,
I banned him from the office. Well, he had already we had issues with each other. We were supposed to do an interview with the other guys. I told Remo like, "Yo, you think that Rooga's coming?" And Remo was like, "No, I don't think so. I don't think he's in LA." That morning, he sends me a screenshot of Rooga in LA. He's like, "Oh shit, he is here." I'm like, all right, just let him know he ain't coming here. And so then he gets real polite. Oh, thank you. I don't even smoke these anymore. We can talk about that too at some point. Yeah. But I tell Remo. So then Rooga gets on the phone. Remo starts telling him like, "Hey, I just want to be cool. I just, I'm not coming there to trip on him, nothing like that, etc." And Remo is like, all right, let me ask Adam. He asked me. I'm immediately like, yeah, it's cool. He can come. All good. He shows up. We start doing the interview. He's being like weirdly quiet for.
Were you expecting him to be in the interview when he said he was going to come?
Yeah. Okay. I figured, Yeah. And so we're doing that for like 20 minutes, and then he decides that he's going to start basically calling me out for shit. And he's decided that for some reason he's going to call me out over the Wooski thing, even though this is so old, water under the bridge, whatever. He still wants to talk about it. He wants to talk about Mama Duck. He wants to call me out for, saying shit about her sexually, even though she was the one who was flirting with me, etc. And he basically managed to like get the details of all of these situations wrong. But his main thing was that he wanted to let me know that even though Wooski was the one who threatened me first and attacked me first, that me quoting the King Von lyric to him was inappropriate. Now, I disagree. I feel like if somebody comes at me and says all kinds of shit about my wife, my kid, etc., I'm on your ass. You're not going to make me feel bad, Rooga, for getting on his ass, given that he came at me saying the most disrespectful shit that he could. So therefore, yeah, I'm going to say the most disrespectful shit that I could. Now, should I have probably not mentioned something pertaining to him getting shot in the head? Sure, I guess. But at the same time,
it's a bit extreme.
He said something about my girl and my kid. So ultimately,
you crossed the line.
You cross the line, I'm crossing the line.
Yeah,
once you talk about kids, gloves are off.
And so,
first of all, no sin's bigger than the other. Right. If you believe in any type of religion. So, you did wrong. Expect wrong. It's no balance of how wrong I should be. Like, oh, you were just a little wrong. So no, it's a headshot, nigga. I'm not about to play with you.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's how I'm feeling. And so Rooga wanted to, I think he was down to be cool and to have a cool podcast experience and everything like that. But I think that he wanted to take that moment to really stand on business, create the vibe that he was telling me exactly how things were going to be, that he was calling the shots, that he's Mr. Big Bad Tough Guy, ogre, whatever. And I made it clear, you're not going to just sit here and gaslight me into agreeing with all these narratives that you have cooked up. Now, granted, some of these narratives are like basically like internet shit that they've already kind of agreed upon, whatever. But I had to tell him, like, you're not going to just sit here and tell me about how the situation went with Wooski, even though, like, in my opinion, you're misrepresenting me. And that's what created the level of the podcast escalating to the point that it got to where he got so mad that I had to ask him to leave.
He wanted you to act like a white boy when he pressed you. He wanted to press and you just agree with it, knowing that you didn't, so he could go back and show the homies like, you see what I did, cuz I made sure I said something. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly, if you watch the clip, he said multiple times, like, you ain't gonna put this out though. You ain't gonna put this out. Like, he was like thinking that
he was trying to go viral.
Yeah, but that's what he did. The reason why he was saying that was because at the end, I think that he was so flustered because he kind of realized that nothing he had said so far had really got to me at all. Calling me a culture vulture, calling me a bitch, whatever. It's like, I don't care. I've been in a lot of like contentious situations over the years, and one hallmark of that, when you feel like there's a chance that you might get into a fight or that this situation is escalating so much, your heart rate starts going up. Now, like some of the poker players I watch on stream, they wear a heart rate monitor so you can actually see when they're doing a big crazy bluff that their heart rate just doubled or whatever. If I had been wearing one, my heart rate probably went up like 4%. Like, it did not, I was not tripping about the situation because he was just talking, you know, and I did not get the vibe that he was going to do anything at all. And he just starts listing off reasons why he wouldn't do anything. Oh, you're going to sue me. Oh, you got the police out there, which is, I guess, what you call a security. You just call them the police. And I wasn't worried about it at all. And I think he was getting so flustered with that he started calling me the PDF thing, you know. Now, obviously, we used AI to change it to him calling me a handsome guy.
A handsome guy.
I thought that was more accurate. To call me a handsome guy is without question true. The other accusation has no verifiable proof associated with it. So I was happy to.
That's all.
I was happy to take part in this little song and dance, and then they threw him out. And then, from my perspective, and what people didn't see though is that like as soon as he gets like over by the door, it's kind of like the tension is gone. Like
de-escalated
because he was acting like he wanted to fight the security guard. Now that security guard in particular
is down for the fade.
Big ass Polynesian motherfucker. Like he's not. I wouldn't want to fight him, especially with a big ass gun on his hip. Like for sure, like anybody with their mind intact is gonna basically like not want to pursue that.
And didn't even say like, and your security guard's a bitch.
Yeah, and you hear him just be like, "Oh, what? We can run it right now." Like he was fucking super down.
Security, he maintained his balance because really, on the hood, he was supposed to get off okay, but he was being professional. But I feel like he should have removed him faster. But he said that too. After he saw it afterwards, he was like, I feel like I should have acted faster. I was like, I felt like it was fine from a content perspective. Content-wise, it was straight. That's why I was like, it all played his part. He didn't do no buster shit. So
no, that's true.
Like,
if we were just sitting there like in a studio, in a music studio, and somebody started getting like that, and security, for sure they should intervene faster. But because it's on camera and everything, it felt different.
That we wouldn't have had like that gold that we wound up getting. Out of it.
Are we using this fine china?
For sure. Traplo Ross gave us a $275 ashtray, and I'm pretty excited about it, from Dolce & Gabbana.
Hey.
Yes, I looked up the price. I wanted to know how much an ashtray from there cost. Some people were calling me a weak ass white boy for looking up the price, but I wanted to know. Like, how are you going to tell me that I'm not allowed to say something disrespectful when he already threw the kitchen sink at me? And it's like, okay, I get it. Like, you're judging us by different standards because he's a gang member and I'm not. I don't give a fuck. You're not going to sit here and act like I did this deplorable thing and not include the context of what he said to me. The same way, you're not going to sit here and say, oh, you were disrespectful to Mama Duck without also acknowledging she was flirting with me and telling me how fucking handsome I was, so it didn't seem inappropriate for me to have said this little flirtatious shit here. He was trying to paint a picture that portrayed me as having done all this crazy shit, and that's why he asked me to fight, is because I wasn't willing to go along with his portrayal of me.
When he came in the building and you like said what's up to them, did you sense the energy? Like, oh, this dude's kind of like, or were you surprised when he called you out on the pod?
I mean, when you watch the first 20 minutes of that podcast, he didn't really have a mic. They were kind of like sharing mics and stuff, but there was no like disrespectful vibe really going on from my perspective, but he was being kind of weirdly quiet, not really looking at me. Even when we're having the argument, I'm looking right at him and he's looking away from me.
Yeah.
Which draw from that whatever conclusion you want.
Like just as for a basis of comparison, when Flacco called me out for the fade on the podcast, apparently like, in Lush One tradition, I was very late that day and they were going to start the news without me, but Flacco was like, nah, I'm not starting until Lush is here and on camera.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. There, I think, who else was there? Was it, I know Suspect, maybe Gino was there too. But I know Suspect was for show there, and they like were waiting for, so like I was damn near like 45 minutes to an hour late type shit. And by the time I got there, like it was already, the energy was already set. You know what I mean? Like,
I just feel like Flacco requesting a fade from you after you had like the night before said something questionable about him or whatever. I understood where his rage was coming from.
Totally.
And it seems different than Rooga sort of like cherry picking from some incident that happened like a year ago based on a rapper that he don't even talk to. Like how often do you hit up Wooski? Where is Wooski in all this? Has he even said anything? As far as I know, no.
Yeah.
No, really, like
that's that was my whole thing. I'm like, maybe, you can't miss your moment though.
Yeah.
If I came here to press Adam, I came here to press Adam. I don't give a fuck what the backlash is. Like, if you trying to get your name back going,
he just thought
he used you as bait.
He thought it was going to go a way that was different than the way that it actually went.
He thought he was gonna look a little bit better doing it.
He thought that I was gonna actually like roll with it. And to be fair, if I had been a different version of myself that day, where, you know, we've all had problems with people and then had to have the conversation where you're kind of like, yeah, I feel it, man. Yeah, like I fucked up. You're right. Like where you don't 100% feel like you really fucked up, but you're gonna acknowledge some shit just to like kind of let it go.
Put it behind you.
I could have done that, but I'm not really going for that. I'm not letting this dude paint this fake ass picture of me. So I felt good about how I went down. Honestly, like I felt like the fact that when you see how the interview goes back into the rest of the interview with those guys, that was like a couple minutes after he got kicked out. Like it didn't take long for us to resume. I'm in a totally clear headspace after just having this guy just whoop, whoop, whoop and just tell me how he was going to kill me, all this bullshit. And I'm just like, you know, okay, bro. Like,
He thought he was going to kill you, Adam.
Not literally, but he told me somebody was going to kill me, basically, eventually.
Yeah, if you keep up with your antics. But he didn't say he was going to kill you.
I don't like that style of conversation, and so many people do it in the comments too. It'd just be like, their way of like discrediting me is to tell me that something's going to happen to me in the future. Like, just save it. Just save it.
I'm trying to figure out, all right, that's just like you calling yourself a victim after you went to a party, did drugs, and fucked somebody, right? And you wake up the next day like, I got raped. You go to an interview, a motherfucker asks you a question, you spill your guts out. You do. These people are giving you the information. You asking a question, they can easily say, we ain't talking about that on. Keep on going, right? Then the motherfucker who held the interview is to blame for the backlash that come from it. It's like, you shooting the messenger at this point. Like, don't shoot the messenger. I just asked the question, bro.
I think that a lot of times they be tripping on the fact that it's like, they think that it's exploitational, you know what I'm saying? And it's like and it's not necessarily like what's being said that they have a contention with, but it's the way that it's said. And I think that was like one of the biggest criticisms of ACT back in the day with the war in Chirac was like, sounds like he's mocking it. Sounds like that was like when anybody would get on ACT's helmet and be like, oh, you think this is a joke.
Right.
You know
but I think it's important for like street dudes to realize that we live in an era where the fans are pretty accustomed to a high level of conversation, and the fans understand what dynamics are playing out. And the fans, I don't think, are impressed by somebody going to a podcast, failing to make an argument, and then challenging you to a fight. This just doesn't really do it to them. And it's particularly see-through when you're like, oh, we're going to bust out the boxing gloves. We're going to do a boxing match. We could film it. We could put it on pay-per-view, whatever. It's like, that shit is corny. We've seen people like ACT poke holes in that over and over, where you have somebody like Meek Mill threatening him, acting like something's going to happen. And then he says, whatever the fuck you think you're going to do, just do it. Like, I don't want to hear these threats. These are empty threats. It's pathetic. And then nothing ever happens to him. It's like we've entered into a new age. I'm not walking around like nothing can happen to me. I'm walking around like something can happen to me. Rooga, it's on you. Do it.